Okay, everybody.
Apparently that's very strict politically.
So get yourself organized and you're kind of, get a space enough that you won't hit anyone else with your arms. Good. Scoot the chairs back. All right, so we'll get right into it. So in this practice, we often start and stop from a narrow stance. Ideally, the big toes are closer together than the heels, or maybe equal, so we're not duck-footed out there. And this is a great time to find our center of balance, of course, something we're going to want to do all the time during our Qigong practice. So go ahead and rock back and forth, front and back. And you'll feel your weight transfer over the insides and outsides of the feet, between the toes and the heel of the feet. And you'll also feel your head moving through space. And we want to begin making these movements more and more subtle. So we're coming closer and closer to that plumb line that comes all the way down from the sky into the top of the head, through the core of the body, out the pelvic floor, and enters the earth right between the ankle bones. So once we feel like we're moving closer and closer to the center of gravity, we can make sure the knees are nice and bent. Nice neutral pelvis. Gently tucking the chin, reaching up with the spine. Making sure the arms are nice and alive, opening up a little bit of space in the armpits. A little bit of energy going down into the fingertips. And in the same way, the tips of the toes are engaged like claws, getting a little bit more traction on the earth. Relax the belly and allow the breath to move deeper into the core of the body. Feel each inhalation expanding the belly upwards 360 degrees. And with every exhalation, gently tucking the belly in towards the spine. Very gently. So once we've kind of opened the practice and we've come into ourselves and we feel ourselves kind of sinking a little bit deeper underneath, then we'll transition into our normal stance. Shoulder width and maybe slightly wider than shoulder width apart, feet facing forward. Feel a lot more stable here, but even still it's nice to kind of sway back and forth, front to back a little bit. Make sure we have that gravity line. Arms are a little bit more alive this time, maybe a bit more space from the hands to the side. And generally as we get into this wider stance, we can sink maybe a half a centimeter deeper into our stance. Feeling the lower body really connected to the earth, and feeling the upper body reaching up towards the sky. Breathing into a nice relaxed stance. Once again, if you're practicing on your own, you could be in this stance for as long as you'd like, sinking into a standing meditation. The next process is just bringing the hands up and in front and slightly below the belly button. Monkey holds cauldron, also called our lower dog tian standing meditation position. The awareness here really comes down into the belly, and we're imagining the palms of the hands are holding a little invisible ball which goes within to the body, encapsulates our internal organs. And there's a sense of a little bit of heaviness here. Hands are going to come in a little bit closer to the surface of the skin, and we're going to begin circling around the belly button, bringing our ball of energy on a little journey. And as we circle, we get bigger and bigger. Eventually, we're going to have to kind of let go of that ball of energy and allow our fingertips to extend outwards from the forearms, inside palm facing up, outside palm facing down. So we should be spiraling the shoulders as we reach around us. And we'll grow that a little bit smaller now, so we'll get our ball back together, palms facing towards the body, and then taking that and growing that smaller and smaller, smaller and smaller. And we want to try to approach stillness in a way that we still feel that rotation happening internally, even as the body reaches stillness externally. And we're going to reverse direction of the circles, starting with the mind, and then catching up with the physical body. Starting small, just like before, expanding slowly. Letting go of the ball altogether. Let's go nice and wide. Using our twisting apparatus or belly button facing from side to side. And gathering the ball back together in the hands and making our circles progressively smaller, contracting back towards center. Approaching stillness. And then we're going to come into our Hun Yuan posture. So hands on the surface of the belly, belly button sort of looking out between this hole in the thumbs. Swallowing any saliva, returning to neutral. And beginning with our first Hun Yuan exercise. Now that we're all warmed up, we're just going to simply reach up into the air, inhaling up, exhaling down the front of the body, and bending enough at the waist simply to get the hands to the kneecaps. Inhale up, exhale down the front of the body, saving enough exhalation to get your fingertips all the way to your knees. So you should have a time that you reach the top of your inhalation as your hands reach as high as they can go. And you reach the bottom of the exhalation just as your fingertips gently swipe over the knees. Even when we get to our highest point of this exercise, we're still not locking the knees or the elbows. So we're kind of standing as high as we can without causing any of our joints to go into an extreme alignment. Call this one number 9. After we get to the kneecaps, we'll just rise back up to neutral and get ready for our first the 3 big cleansing breaths. And then into our Hun Yuan neutral position, swallowing any saliva, finding your center. Relaxing the belly, coming back to a nice knee bend and a neutral pelvis. All right, and then exercise number 2, we come down the 3 balls of our snowman. So we're going to be doing upper, middle, and lower dantian, 9 for each. And we're just sort of acknowledging them and strengthening them. So first we're just going to do upper dantian. So we do most of our exhale coming down over the upper dantian, saving a little bit of exhale just to come back to the earth. But the majority of this first 9 exercises is going to be above the collarbone. Seeing if we can connect to that energy center, top ball of the snowman. Lots of different ways to move the hands down this upper dantian. You can be right in front of the eyes, you can be over the ears, somewhere in between. You can even explore with coming a little bit around the back of the head. Really tuning in, opening the palms energetically, and seeing if you can feel that energetic boundary. One more. Call this number 9 for the upper dantian. And we just seamlessly move into the middle dantian. So for the next inhalation, we don't come up quite as high, and we're going to be concerned with the lungs, the heart, and the pericardium. Once we get about to the level of the diaphragm, the hands can drop down. One more for the middle dantian. And to go to the lower dantian, we're going to widen our stance. So walk the heels out, walk the big toes out, big toes facing wide. And for lower dantian, we're going to reach out in front of us, scooping underneath the ground, and then up through the core of the body, around the kidneys, and back down. So even though we're bending, we're not bending too far forward, we're bending mostly down the elevator, right? So keep the spine nice and straight, try to avoid going too far forward. And we're including the whole lower body in this one. So lower dantian obviously is connecting into the earth through the legs. So we get a little bit more physical, we get a bit more lower, we use a bit more of our meaty muscle. And those are all ways of connecting into those energies. Call this next one number 9. If you were to do this practice on your own, you might count the 9 better, but I often lose track of counting out loud and talking at the same time. So we'll walk the toes back together to come to our neutral stance. We'll end this movement with our 3 big breaths. On stance. Swallowing any saliva. Coming back to neutral, this is always a good time to decompress the ankles, knees, legs. As we get later on into the practice and things start to get a bit more tired, you might have to take some initiative on your own to make sure that you're not overdoing it. If you ever start to feel like your legs really start to quake and jimmy, that might be a sign to find a chair. A little bit of quaking and shaking is totally normal, but if it's visible, then that's a different story. So number 3 here, we bring our palms up. palm to palm, and we're going to be spinning the wheel forward. So we start really slow, really subtle, keeping energetically linked between the palms. And that's the main part of this exercise, is to make sure that we're not breaking that connection between the hands. And as we move along, we're going to allow those circles maybe to get a little bit bigger, a little bit faster. Some people like to keep it nice and slow, nice and small. That's totally fine. You can bring a little bit of your waist and your turning apparatus, twisting apparatus into this exercise as well. Finding your own way to connect your breath to this movement. It might be like one circle for inhale, one circle for exhale, or various types of linkages with the breath are okay, but make sure you're keeping mindful of what the breath is doing. For the next couple breaths, we're going to make these more small and more slow. And just like previous exercises, we want to make sure that we're stopping the movement first with the physical body, but kind of keep that wheel turning mentally. And then we're going to find some stillness mentally and reverse the direction of that wheel, catching up with the physical body. Starting off really soft and slow, and gaining a little bit of momentum as we get comfortable with this direction. Make sure your center of gravity is still firmly between your feet. The spine is still straight and aligned, even though it's moving a little bit and twisting back and forth. Both things can be true at once. And with the next breath, we're going to slow things down, get back to a place of stillness. Now we've built this nice bundle of energy between the palms of our hands. This is a great time to take this bundle of energy and just bring it anywhere in your body that you feel needs a little extra love today. Somewhere physically or maybe emotionally, spiritually. And just holding this energy ball there, closing the eyes, allowing a couple breaths to go by in which you assimilate into a healing area. Coming back to neutral. Getting ready for 3 big breaths. Hun Yuan posture. Swallow any saliva. Relax the belly. Find your center. Decompress ankles, hips, knees if you need to. Movement number 4, we're going to come into opening and closing the 3 dantian. So we're going to start just by connecting to the perimeter of the upper dantian. So explore around with your hands, see if you can feel like the magnetic boundary of where you can almost feel the energy of the brain. And once you've found that, then we're going to begin moving with the breath, inhaling and opening, exhaling and closing. Speed of your own breath. We'll make this the last one. This time coming all the way onto the surface of the head. Kind of condensing all this energy back into the structure of the body. And then the hands can come down, back to normal. We'll come right up into the middle dantian. Let's take a moment first to connect with that magnetic field of the heart. And then just like before, inhaling, opening, and exhaling, closing. And of course, in your practice, you can choose whether you want to emphasize the expansion. Maybe today is the day you want to open up a closed heart, expand those boundaries, or whether you want to energize the closing portion of the movement to protect the heart, create a sense of safety and protection boundary. So with Qigong, we can always modify our practice to however we're feeling or however we desire to feel in a given moment. Make this the last one. The next exhalation coming all the way onto the surface of the chest. Spending the breath here, bringing that energy deeply internal. And relaxing down. As we come into the lower dantian, we're going to come into our wide stance again. Hands come out to the side, palms down. Good. So we close to get onto the surface of the lower dantian there. We can kind of sense here, where is the surface today? Is it far away? Is it close? Where do you feel those energies are? And then we just wrap around and down the rib cage with the backs of the fingers, and we kind of flick back off, and that's how we open it. So we close, and come around to the side and open. Generally, with this movement, it's easier to do a two-part breath, where we exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. This the last one. A few big breaths to close off that movement. posture. Reset, decompress, chillax a little bit. Find your center. And we're going to get ready to move into number 5. Number 5, we're going to start with the big clapping of the hands and getting everything warm. And you really want to make sure you're warming up those palms. So it's going to require a little bit of muscle, a little bit of strength, feeling the friction. And then we bring our nice warm palms over top of our lungs. And we take 3 big breaths. And we really exaggerate the movement of the breath here. Inhaling, expanding the whole chest out like we're just one big lung. Exhaling and slightly collapsing. And with the 3rd exhalation, we're going to bring the hands onto the surface of the chest, closing the eyes for a moment, taking a breath, allowing the energy to assimilate inwards. And then the arms just drop. And we go into 2 more rounds of that first section. Nice and warm, building a little bit of heat here. And then getting these nice energized palms over top of the lungs, 3 big breaths. With the last exhalation coming onto the surface of the chest, closing the eyes. Seeing if you can feel any residual heat from the hands entering the body. And you want to disengage the hands in a way that the nervous system doesn't even feel it coming, kind of like a little ambush. And we'll do 1 more of those. On to the body. And release. We bring the hands right back up to where they were. This is the second part of the 5th movement. And we're going to begin doing some forward circles, really using our shoulder blades to work these circles. So the hands and elbows aren't really doing much at all. All of the circling is coming from moving our scapula up and around our ribs. And then after we've done a few, we can allow the spine to get a little bit more involved in these motions and doing a little bit of an undulation, like an inchworm, rolling up the whole spine. And then in making those movements a little bit more subtle, increasingly softer, until we've reached a point of stillness, at which point we'll begin circling backwards. So starting soft and gentle, getting the shoulders moving over the whole rib cage, and then starting to get the spine into it, allowing the spine to undulate back and forth. So we're really working the whole lungs here. This is a very lung-centered exercise. Working the lungs. So of course we want to be inhaling as we expand forward and exhaling as we collapse. And then achieving a straight spine again, coming back into some softer, more gentle circles. And approaching stillness. And then part 3 of this movement is we bring the hands onto the bone of the chest, right in the center, and we inhale, unzipping down the bone, and then fast exhale, whipping down the stomach. Inhaling. 1 more. Nice. 3 big breaths. posture. Adjust the ankles, knees, hips, find your center. We move into number 6 with the left foot first. So we're going to bring the left foot in and then up at a 45 with a big step. So we should be in a medium-sized lunge with both legs bent. We're going to come into our monkey pose cauldron, and we're going to begin bringing our hands in a direction that's rolling the wheel forward. So it's going to come up the front of the body, into the sky, down into the earth, up that left leg, up the body. So down into the earth, up the left leg with the inhalation, and into the earth with the exhalation. Keep both legs bent. So we're trying to avoid straightening the back leg, even though it's tempting. We're also trying to avoid reaching so far forward that you're bending your spine close to the ground, right? So you can bend forward a little bit, but make sure you're keeping your spine nice and straight. You don't have to be very dramatic. A lot of people just keep a circle going really small and chill in front of the body. So just whatever feels comfortable. Exhaling into the earth, inhaling up the front of the body. Next time you reach lower dantian, we're going to reverse direction. Exhaling down the front leg, inhaling up into the sky. Exhaling down the front of the body, into the leg, into the earth, inhaling into the sky, circling with the breath. Last one, coming back down to the waist. Ideally, you want to step the left leg back to narrow and then out to neutral. And we're going to change direction by bringing the right leg in, out at a 45. Good. And we begin going forward, inhaling up the body, exhaling towards the right leg, inhaling up the right leg, into the air, just churning with the breath. Next breath, coming back to neutral, and we're going to begin spinning the other direction. So it's going to be an exhale into the earth, inhaling up, exhaling down the body into the earth. So spinning backwards. Okay, back to the lower dantian. Step the right leg in narrow, back to neutral. Good job, everyone. Those looking really good. We'll do our 3 big breaths. Hun Yuan posture. Allow your nervous system to reset here, so the heart will be beating a little bit faster now. We're using some bigger muscles, going a bit deeper. So this is a good time to just watch the body come back to neutral. start number 7, wide stance. We're going to be going up and down one leg at a time, starting with the left. We're going to inhale, exhale both hands down the back and outside of the legs. Inhale, both hands up the inside of the leg, up the center of the belly, and then loop to loop. Inhaling to the right, exhaling down the outside and back. Inhaling up the inside, exhaling loop to loop. Inhaling to the left, and so on and so forth, following your own breath, moving in a way that feels safe and effective for your body, being cautious of your spine. Only going as far down your leg as feels comfortable. This doesn't have to be a yoga class. It's not about your flexibility. Generally, this exercise is one that I would do less than 9 on each side because the total of 18, it seems like too much. So we'll call the next one the last one. But ideally, if you're doing this on your own, you want to do 9 times per side. Come back to neutral. Step the feet in. Come into our 3 big breaths. And into our Hun Yuan posture. Notice what the breath is doing. Allow the body to come back to a neutral internal state. Relaxing the belly, swallowing any saliva. And coming into number 8, which is also from a wide stance. So we're going to inhale to the kidneys and exhale down the backs of the legs with both hands at once. And then the trick here is to come far enough down. Ideally, you can pop your elbows over your kneecaps to inhale back up, right? All the way to the diaphragm. Exhale, relaxing the hands back down to neutral. So inhale to the kidneys. Exhale down as far as you can on the outsides and backs. Inhale all the way up to the diaphragm. Exhale, relax. And continuing with your own breath as your guide. Call this number 9. Walking back. Big breaths. Nice. All right, so we did our 3 big leggy, lungy, squatty kind of ones, and we're ready to go into a bit of a deeper meditative sort of rhythm now. We start that with grinding the belt meridian. So we're going to place our hands palm down, waist level, and ideally the palms are going to stay here the whole time. So avoid the temptation as you come around to like bring the hands up. Try to keep them down, waist level the whole time. So we begin by inhaling to the left. And then we exhale, pushing the arms out and away, circling 180 degrees to the right. And we inhale, reset to the left. So we're emphasizing the exhale and the gentle sweeping of the hands over top of the surface of the water. Nice, slow, deep breaths here. Keep the spine facing straight up and down. It's twisting, yes, but it's not bending forward or backwards. Challenging yourself to go 10% slower and breathe 10% more deeply. Last one. And then we just switch direction. So we're inhaling to reset to the right, and we're exhaling, sweeping from right to left. Ten percent slower, 10% deeper. All right, let's make this next one the last one. Big breaths. Swallowing any saliva. Relaxing the belly. Standing tall through the spine and sinking through the knees. Decompressing feet, ankles, hips if need be. Come into our lower dantian meditation position. We're going to start gathering the qi to lower dantian. This is that field of dandelions exercise that we learned recently. Doesn't matter which arm you start with. One arm is just going to come down under the armpit, sweep around and gather. As that arm begins coming back down to where it started, the other arm will do the exact same movement. So this should feel like an extremely subtle, very gentle movement. Ideally, we want to try to link it so that there's always movement through either hand. But if that seems too hard, you can always just bring one hand back down to the belly and just let it wait there while the other one catches up. That's totally fine. Moving so softly that if you were standing in a field of dandelion pollen, you'd be able to collect it in the palms of your hands without it blowing away. Energetically, we're focusing on channeling this energy that we're gathering into the kidneys. So we're gathering qi from the field from afar and then bringing it in towards the center of the center where we hold our deepest energy reserves in kidneys. And this is the one exercise of the Hun Yuan series that we sort of try to forget the breath. Ideally, we're going in a fairly deep meditation here. The breath will naturally be still and slow, but we're not worried about synchronizing it with anything at all. So very much an emptiness meditation here. Bring both hands back to center. And then onto the surface of the belly. Spending a moment here with closed eyes. And just allowing all that work to settle. All right, 3 big breaths. And settling again. Let's rub the belly, beginning our self-massage. So we're rubbing the belly, separating the hands, coming up, center of the chest, and down the ribs, over the belly. And coming onto the kidneys, gently rubbing the back, maybe not the temples, the knuckles a little bit. We've kind of already done this already, but it's part of the massage, so we do it again, just coming down and up, sweeping. We bring that sweeping into the arms. Do one arm goes the opposite arm, just sweeping up and down, making sure you get the armpit and the ups back. Switching sides. And then just kind of sweeping over the surface of the head, the face, gently touching the skin, or maybe just hovering a couple millimeters above the skin. Let's do the same kind of routine, but we'll get a little pitter-patter self-massage open things. We're going to have some loose fists, pounding the kidneys, and then continuing that slapping back and forth, over down. Outsides of the legs, come up the inside of the legs. Loose fist into opposite shoulder. And then opening the hand and just gentle slapping up and down with the arm. Switching sides. Gentle pounding on the shoulder. and then opening the hands and running up and down surface of the arm. Little raindrops onto the head. And a very pitter-patter, tiny fingertip, gentle rain on the sensitive parts of the front of the face. All right. And kind of get rid of any excess buildup that we don't need. We'll start with the upper. So we're going to bring the hands around the back of the ears and almost like out the mouth, if you can imagine. We'll do the same thing as if we're scooping a net around our heart and just getting any particles out of there that we don't need. And scooping around, landing on the kidneys and cleansing the kidneys forward into space. Kind of come up on the heels for that one. Nice. Okay, 3 big breaths. Posture. Usually after the self-massage, there's tons of energy flowing around the body, so taking some nice relaxing breaths here and kind of letting everything settle in. We're going to enter into our last movement, which is the sunrise, sunset hand positions. I like to do that in a wide stance, but you can do it in whatever size of stance you want. We'll start with the hands up by the sides, and they're going to cross in front of us as we inhale and open. Exhale and down. The emphasis here is on the inhale. Inhale, expanding out. Call that number 9, and then we're going to reverse it, but it's slightly different when we go the opposite direction. This time we're going to inhale up, and we're going to stroke the tree just in front of us all the way to the ground, emphasizing exhale. So fast inhale, and then slow exhale, coming all the way down. And for going even slower, there's an alternative breathing pattern in which you can inhale up, and then you exhale upper dantian, inhale middle dantian, exhale lower dantian. Call this the last one. Back into our normal stance if you're not there already. 2 big breaths. That posture. We're going to begin circling and expanding our circles. We come out of our practice the same way that we came into our practice, but in reverse. Expanding circles until those fingertips are facing away from the elbows, and then contracting circles coming all the way back to the center of the belly. directions. Contracting. And settling in a monkey holds cauldron standing meditation position, which could be held for a very long time in a personal practice. And the hands just simply come down to the side, but still quite active. So they're not limp noodles on the side, they're still very much engaged. This position is a little bit more of a waiting patient's position, a little less action than the monkey holds cauldron. So we're slowly bringing our energy more internal and getting ready to transition back out into the world. And then from here, we're going to come into our narrow stance where we started the practice. The arms are even more relaxed now, but still slightly engaged. Once again, you can stand here as long as you wanted if you were feeling in the mood. But for today, we'll just bring our hands up to chest center and bow out. Thank you everyone for coming today. Great. And now we have a video. Oh, it filmed the whole time.